Yo, this hot, this the spot, there it is, pod.com. We're interviewing the best comedians, so tune in quick and get your ears receiving them. We talking about life and life to stream right to you, from the microphone right to your home, dude. Side note, this might get embarrassing, but no, don't sweat, yo, cause there it is.
Welcome to the There It Is podcast, the comedy podcast for creators of any variety. I'm your host, Jason Farr. Let's do this. Thanks so much for listening, especially if it's your first time listening. You can go back and listen to old episodes on iTunes and SoundCloud. There's an easy way to listen to the SoundCloud episodes. You can go to thereitispod.com and go to podcast, and you'll see a little player there, so it'll be great. Last week's special episode was a lot of fun. I hope you got a chance to listen to it and enjoyed it. It was a really good recap of everything, a lot of fun moments. Right, Snoopy? Yep, he liked it. And today's episode is a lot of fun, too. It's with Dion Flynn. You have seen him because he plays Barack Obama on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and he also did on Late Night. He played many characters. He had over 40 appearances on both Late Night and The Tonight Show combined. And he's a really interesting performer in person. We have a really good chat, and we have a special guest, Adam Hamway, who is a Jimmy Fallon impersonator. That's a really fun moment, so you want to check that out. Let's get right to it. Here's my chat with Dion Flynn.
You've had an interesting life before getting into comedy, if I'm understanding it correctly. Were you in military and then also being a life coach before you got into performing at all? Is that how that worked out?
Well, the timeline was ran away from home at 17, drug addict, alcoholic, up until 20 years ago. Went to graduate acting school, undergrad acting, and then went to graduate acting program at NYU, and there got sober. Okay. That was like the big turning point in my life. Where, I stopped using drugs and alcohol. And then I've been sober for 20 years last month.
Great.
Day at a time, as they say somewhere.
Right.
So that's that. And so all that while, you can trace, if you look back at the story, sort of archaeologically, you can dust away the stuff and see that there was a huge interest in showbiz my whole life.
Right.
Way before I was 17. I was performing in music and doing bands and lead singer. And then when I was young, just voices and recording, and always with a tape recorder and making fun and doing interviews, and just from the age of 10, when I was the only brown kid in my trailer park. That's how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that, I guess, is part of the reason why you ran away at 17.
Well, you don't
have to get into that.
No. And I'm not balking due to that. Like, it's a bad question. I think it's a great question. I don't think that was the reason. I don't think it was because I was the only brown kid in my trailer park that I ran away. I think it was because the addictive side of myself was already taken over. And part of that is just like doing crazy things,
Right.
Just changing cities all of a sudden and thinking that's going to like make your life better.
Right.
You don't really think things out. The only brown, there was huge benefits to being the only brown kid in my trailer park. My parents are both white, so my mother's white. She had me with a black guy. Never met him. We don't know about him. We don't talk about. You bring it up on holidays, and she cried. Okay. That's what she did. She's not alive anymore either. Then I had a white father, and we lived in this trailer park. All white people, little brown me, no explanation as to where I came from.
Right.
So I had to go out and sort of face the crowd, and give them answers. They're like, what's going on? Like, you are brown, and your parents are white. What is the deal? And I would just be like, I don't know, make stuff up, what I mean? So that's, I think, where some of that fast shuffling and dancing came from.
Right. Oh, I see.
And being able to stand up to people and to be able to cut them down. We say cut downs.
Right.
What do the people call it? Cut downs.
Snaps.
Snaps. Right. Different regions have different names for that, but it's that basic behavior of like, you call me fat boy, I'm going to call you big teeth. You call me bus or whatever. I remember writing my first preparatory self-protective joke. I even remember the kid's name, but I won't say it. And they were really cracking is another way we call it.
Yeah,
cracking on me, And I was like, I'm going back to that bus tomorrow. And I'm going to have something ready for this kid's big teeth. In fact, it was big teeth. And then I remember that night, I was like, what? Good idea. And I was thinking like, big teeth, big rocks, big blocks, big stuff. Low blocks, like a build a wall, like Great Wall of China. And I went back the next day with Great Wall of China teeth, locked and loaded. I was ready to like deliver it. And he didn't start anything up. This kid. So I was like, I had material, you know, and I was ready to like hit it with it, you know, Great Wall of China teeth, which wouldn't have probably gone over well anyway. But anyway, so I think that's where I learned that you can prepare something beforehand for a time when you're going to need to have words.
Okay.
So that's part of it.
That's very interesting. So you, where did you said you were at NYU when you started doing the studies, actual studies?
Well, my parents actually had me go to an acting class at a community college.
Oh, okay.
And adults were in it. It was just adults and me, and that was like age 13.
Okay.
So, you know, to their extreme credit, they recognized that I had a real talent for this. I had been in like plays at church, and I was in a rock band that played at our church, and everybody was like very uncomfortable with our rock band because it was sort of just out of step with what was happening. And I was in a long trench coat, and I was very overweight, and I was just sort of like edgy but nerdy edgy. It was really weird. It was a bad move. It was just a bad move on many fronts. But anyway, seeing all these predilections toward entertainment, they did when they could put me in the right place.
Right.
So this acting class was a very good example. And I don't know what happened. Also, a local actress who came to our school, I remember her name too. I don't know why I don't want to say it, but I just won't. But she played Sojourner Truth, this African American woman, and she did this take on her. And she too recognized something, and she said, "You got to get to an acting class." And I think she did something to connect it. Anyway, I know.
That's cool.
But anyway, so there I was in this acting class at the community college with adults. And so they put me and this guy, this father-son scene, and I just remember it was fun. And then I did, you know, plays locally. I was in a musical, Finian's Rainbow, and I got an applause break in Finian's Rainbow as one of the gospeliers. And I remember what I said. I said, brothers, I was 14, and I was big, I was fat and getting really tall, so I was like a big dude already. And they were like, they said, "What happened to your other gospelier?" And I said, brothers, we suffered a bit of a tragedy last night. It was after our triumphant performance at the First Baptist Church. There was our number 3 man, Russ, taken with temptation. And in his desperation, he cried out, "Get thee behind me, Satan!" And Satan got, and Satan pushed, and he pushed him right into the arms of a bouncing Babylonian Jezebel from Biloxi, Mississippi. Oh, the soul was strong, but the flesh was weak, and our number 3 man is now missing. And that would always get applause from the audience, and I was like, oh my God. It was thrilling.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a room full of people, it's a cavern full of people, and they're all applauding. And I really needed that applause. You know, I think I need it now, but now I'm in this phase where I'm playing with it in a whole different way. Because I'm past the place where you need it to know that you're okay. The approbation that comes back from the audience.
Right.
So now I'm playing in those little gaps where the jokes bomb.
Right.
I think it's fun to live in that and talk about it. And so my comedy has definitely changed.
Yeah. When did comedy become a part? So in this timeline, there was a time where you were being a life coach for people.
That was after, okay, so the timeline would be 96, graduate school started. 96 to 99, that's 3 years, 6,500 hours of acting training at a graduate level, class of 18 people. Josh Radnor, How I Met Your Mother, he's in my class.
Yeah, I was going to ask
good buddy. Because we do a lot of stuff together. There's that. Then I got out and I went to Shakespeare in the Park and worked in the public theater, and then I watched Leah Schreiber do Hamlet, and I was one of the ancillary characters in that. It was great. I got to work around great people, but it was always funny. I always dealt with life with humor, you know. But to get up and say, here's a great example. This is a great question, and I never really have thought of this until now, but this is what happened. I was doing a play called In the Blood out at the Guthrie Theater.
Okay.
Susan Laurie Parks. And all I would do between rehearsals and with the other actors to say, "Do you think this is funny? Do you think this is funny?" I was writing jokes. And when I was in a play, I didn't want anything more than to go be doing comedy. And that would come out while I was in a show. I don't know how to explain it, except for so I'm getting murdered every night by my own mother on stage, blood pack, and she's smashing me in the head, and I'm like, writing jokes, backstage with blood dripping down, So, but it's just so frightening, the idea of saying, I'm gonna get up here with ideas I've written, this is what I think is funny, and you're gonna think it's funny too.
Yeah, it's untested, yeah.
It's terrifying. Well, you have to take full responsibility.
Right.
You can't blame anybody.
Right.
And that's really terrifying. But you know what? In 5th grade, I wrote a skit with 2 guys, and I was a statue up on a thing. I was like frozen. And the teacher, Miss whatever her name is, I won't say it, she didn't want me to be in the show, and she kept threatening to take the talent show away from me. Okay? That was her method of like getting me to do what she wanted. I was a behavior problem.
Okay.
Big time. 5th grade. Age 5 plus 5 is 10. Age 10. And so she said, I'm taking the talent show away, I'm gonna take the talent show away. So eventually the talent show comes and I'm in it. My mom made me this gold toga to be the statue. And mom was, always sort of sick, but she got herself together to make this. And so I'm in this toga and this like this laurel wreath around my head, and I'm acting like I'm a statue who comes to life. And I tap the guys on the shoulder, and I change positions, and I tap one, change positions. They're like, "What's going on?" They fight with each other, and then I take the park bench. But she said, "You stick to that and don't deviate." She's pregnant, she's in the wings, and she's watching me. She's like, "I will kill you if you deviate from the script." But I took off my gold lame belt, and the auditorium is full, the gym is full of kids, and they are screaming. Every time I tap somebody, one of the guys on the bench, and freeze, they're going nuts, pandemonium. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so intoxicating. So I'm like, I look at her in the wings, she's like, "Don't you deviate." She's like wagging her finger at me, red-faced. And I take my belt off and I snap it in the air to the audience. And this was my first bit of improv, really. I said, "Do you want me to strangle him?" There's no place. And they all go, "Yes! Yes! Yes!" And I was like, and what I realized is she can't come out from the wings to come get me.
Right.
Because she's too embarrassed to make that 15-foot journey, like in front. So I'm protected by that little space between the audience and the performer, which is sacred space. They can't get you, they can't attack you, they can't kill you. And so I'm there, and I'm like, and I've been basically up there, metaphorically, so that no one will kill me ever since.
Wow.
And, hiding out in the spotlight, if you will.
Right.
No better place to hide. Because nobody thinks you're hiding.
They're not going to break what separates.
Yeah, it's like
where they are from you.
Yeah, so we honor that,
Right.
We honor, and I see it with celebrities. I'm not a celebrity. I work with celebrities, right? And I see them around, and it is you as you're making your way, and you have an ambition to break out or be successful, let's say, in show business. You're very aware of like the backstories, and you read things, and you know that everybody talks about that isolation that celebrity is. I don't have that kind of isolation and entourage and all that stuff.
Right.
I see it though, and I see just what I'm talking about, that relative safety of the spotlight. I see it in other people. I see, and it starts with the entourages and the bodyguards and the handlers, and it's very interesting the way people navigate it. People navigate it very differently.
Yeah.
One from the other.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of different things about how people do try to navigate it. Some of them don't try too much to navigate it.
Well, that Steve Harvey thing that came out last week.
Right, yeah, about him not wanting anyone to come to his dressing room.
Don't come to my dressing room, don't bother me in the hallway, don't look at me.
Right.
But I understand that, like, if you're focusing and you're trying to get something done.
Yeah, you don't want people coming in the dressing room.
And if you say it politely, but if you commit it to writing,
right,
you can read it in a different way that makes it sound like really terrible.
Yeah, the thing that was really interesting when I saw that, it's a leaked email that went out. Oh. And I said, well, the very reason that it went out is the very reason that it needed to be said to begin with.
Yeah.
If he's got people working there who would leak that, then obviously he needs some boundaries. So I didn't understand it.
Well, he definitely does, and you see, we see a wide range of artists being handled carefully. Like Respect the artist. Let him do his thing. He's in the trailer. He needs green M&Ms in the bowl, and this and the other thing. I don't scoff at that. I say whatever you need. Daniel Day-Lewis, if you need to go run around in the woods for 3.5 years, I honor that. If you're going to do it, build his own house, build his own shoes, build his own... you know what I mean?
I totally respect that. Yeah, that's why I didn't understand what the hoopla was over the thing with Steve Harvey. So we've gotten to your comedy career. How many years have you been doing, because you started doing stand-up and...
2001, I would say, I really started getting up on stage at the Comedy Cellar, doing stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Right, and I'm not a road comic, I'm not, some of these guys, like, you know, I just think, I don't know why Sean Patton, he's just one of my favorites.
He's great,
and Nate Bargatze, like, and these guys are my favorites.
Yeah, they're great.
And I respect them because they're out there, they go, they do it, they're in the clubs, you know. These guys that come to Sweet. I co-host Sweet with Seth Herzog on the Lower East Side. And I've been, you know, Amy Schumer come through and Louis C.K. and I just sit on the side and I watch everybody and all the different styles and all the different, but I'm not that. I'm not the person who has paid their dues in terms of clubs.
Right.
You know.
I see what you mean.
But I have paid my dues in terms of the acting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Acting hours on stage, working. There was a time for 7 years, and so 7 years where I just went from play to play to play to play. I never didn't have a role, you know. And so I feel some sort of authority and ownership of being on stage. I feel like I have a right to be on stage. I'm not going to waste your time.
Right.
At a minimum, if everything tanks, I can sing you a song. I can entertain you. Right. But there's a discipline to joke writing, joke memorization, joke delivery that I understand and definitely work on and do, but would never put myself in the same category as those people who do that exclusively and don't feel they can sing and don't feel they can act.
I understand, yeah.
So it's been this interesting mishmash of things, which lead me to like being Barack Obama, doing like 15 different characters on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon and The Tonight Show before Obama came out. Right. You know.
Right. So, and you did some improv here
at the People's Improv Theater.
Right.
For 10 years. I've been over 10 years. I've been on teams playing weekly.
Yeah, you were in isn't the longest running
Big Black Car.
Right.
Yeah, the longest, boasting such alumnus as Ellie Kemper and Kristen Shaw and Matt Oberg. And there was like an old version of that group, which was just like storied and hallowed, and then I came in on a later wave of that. I was on that for a number of years with Ashley Ward and Nate Starkey and Chris Grace, great improvisers. I do a solo show here now because it's called Dion Flynn Works Well with Others, because I don't work well with others. But I kind of do. I do and I don't. I think improv requires you to really want to be on a team. You're on a team, we're a team. Everything we do is team, and we're going to build it together, and there's no individual, there's no I in team. I want to stand out there and say, no, I need the attention. I like to interact with the audience. I want to know what you think of me. Let's laugh at the self-centeredness of all of this, and let's see if I can get out of the basic conundrum, which is, I'm assuring you that I'm going to entertain you for X amount of time. Let's see if I can do it.
Okay.
Let's see if we can do it together. And it does ride a line between stand-up and theater, because I do characters and voices, and I can hold a dramatic scene. You know, I mean, you just saw my show, so you tell me whether you thought the scene with Bob was held effectively.
I do, yeah.
Are you sure?
No, I sincerely mean it.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking right at you. I'm like, what's going on?
No, sincerely, I think you do hold the stage well, and you did in that.
And would you tell me otherwise as a guest on your show? Like, would you? I wonder. Because that would be okay.
If I probably wouldn't say it directly. I wouldn't say that if I didn't think so.
Right.
If I didn't think so, then I would say I would talk around it.
Right.
What I do instead of lying is I try to find the most true positive thing I can say.
Right.
And say that.
Got it.
But I think you did hold it. So
I thought I liked the Bob scene, and I liked your guys' reaction to it. The audience for me is a partner. in the creation. And I'm using the laughter as a gauge, which is almost exactly the opposite of what Del Close says to do. Like, you're out there pandering, I do, and it's terrible or whatever, but I like it.
So that's how the idea came to do a solo show?
No, it was a part of that. It was like an admission that I wanted more of the stage time and more of interacting with the audience.
Yeah.
And I like to scare myself. I like to know that every week at 6, I'm gonna have to fill an hour, and I don't get to have a bunch of my joke cards with me to fill up the whole hour, because then I get inspired. You saw that, like, I would take off on something that
Right.
when we did the Galileo thing, never been done. I've never seen that video, and you may not think it's a classic of comedy, but a couple of good things came out.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's really interesting about the show that you're doing is that you are saying, if I fail, I fail, and I'm gonna be comfortable on stage failing.
Yeah.
Is that from just years of being on stage?
That's from grad school. I mean, the actual pulling off of being comfortable and being relaxed, if you think I was doing that, I'm glad that you saw it that way, because I did feel comfortable. When I told you, remember I got my first drink of water? And it really was true. I was like, okay, I've given them enough. They seem to be on board. I can stop to do a little self-care because I'm dying.
No, that killed me, too.
It killed everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was laughing, and I was like, yes, this is so fun. And then I hammered it.
Right.
I doubled down on it and got more bold. But that was because I was listening.
Right.
So the listening that is required in improv is very much required in my quote-unquote solo show.
Right.
It works well with others because I need the audience.
You're hearing what they're doing
Very
how
much
they're
so.
responding. Yeah.
That lady's name, her Korean or Thailandese name. What do they call that? What is the Thailandese? Thailandese name?
Taiwanese? She was from Taiwan.
Was she?
Was she from Taiwan?
Oh God.
So I guess Taiwanese if she's from Taiwan.
Thank you. I'm glad you're here. I really am, because I'm not going to go into it. There's Thailand and Taiwan. Those are different places. I know that. I'm looking in your eyes for verification.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, those are different places, of course. No, I know they're spelled different. One's THI and one's Taiwan, but I could not tell you exactly 100% where they are in relation to each other.
I couldn't either.
They're in Southeast of Asia,
you
right? You know where they are? God damn it.
I don't know where they are.
Adam is here, by the way.
Yes.
We should introduce him so people know who's giggling in the
A
background.
lot of giggling in the back.
Right.
What is your name, sir?
Adam Hamway. I just was walking by and I wanted to listen. I was interested. So.
Adam Hamway is a fantastic. He does a great show. Jimmy Fallon, The Tonight Show tribute show here at the People's Improv Theater on Thursdays. Is it every month?
Every month, Thursday.
Every month. The next one is June
15th. Yeah.
At
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Look at that.
There's only 1 hour that it could be.
Look, I could have altered the diphthong into sex.
Well, that's true. That's right.
Or sex.
At sex time.
At sex time. Oh, time for sex? Must be Adam's show is on.
Or you could do military time. Say, Evan.
That's right, and then you start sounding like it's 5 o'clock, and you all start sounding like freaking Stephen Hawking, who refuses to change his voice box thing.
I didn't know you could.
Oh.
What the? That old speak and spell thing? You can change that. I found here for you to black hole.
Yeah, I guess I could change that.
Of course you could change that. What do you mean? They put people on the moon.
7 different ones on my phone too. So
Exactly. Like, your phone has more computing power than the rocket that went to the moon. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Then why aren't you on the moon?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I lay that at your feet. I lay that at your feet. You got a supercomputer in your pocket. What are you doing with it?
Nothing.
What's the last thing you did of worth with it? Recorded this.
Yeah. Adam's here for when we get into some more chat about working with Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. You know,
because Adam can do a good impression, but I don't know.
You know what? I won't set it up too much. He does it pretty good. He does it pretty good. No, you know what I mean? No, but I don't want to overhype the expectation.
You're right. That's fine.
You know, it's
fair.
Pretty good.
That's fair.
Pretty good impersonation of Jimmy Fallon. But what we're going to do is I'll tease it. We're going to use him later. Jimmy and I met while Jimmy went to the College of St. Rose and I went to the University of Albany undergrad.
Oh, I didn't know you'd known him that long.
Yeah. And we were both hired for a show locally cast called Loose Camera, Metroland's Loose Camera. And so we show up, and there's 7 people in the cast, and I'm one of them, he's one of them. We become friends, we hang out, We go to the woods together, we make tape recordings together. All that stuff I'm doing when I'm a kid, I do with Jimmy. Why? Because he likes to do voices, he likes to play, you know. And we both had the same video called Spike Lee's Doing It a Cappella. He was the only person I knew that had that video cassette. We both had it. And it was a documentary about a cappella singing. So, anyway, later, if we talk about any of that, I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice for Adam
to act it out?
Act out like maybe some of those old conversations that we had, or just like to sort of take you back.
Yes.
And
I say, well, that was the next thing I was going to talk about. I first started seeing you on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon doing.
Really? You remember back that far? It goes way back. That's like 3 years ago. I remember it started in 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you writing, or were they having you come on to do bit parts?
Never writing. What would happen is they would write, and then. Well, I went to the show, and I was accompanying a friend of mine, who I mentioned before, Josh Radnor, who was promoting his film. Okay. I was in the last day of therapy at the Veterans Hospital. Okay. And I was texting with Josh, and Josh says, I'm going to promote my movie. Should I say hi to Jimmy? Because I had told him about Jimmy way back in the day. I said, you guys look alike, and this guy's going to be huge. So he said, should I say hi to him? Similar vibe in some ways, yeah.
Because I saw recently, it's hard to get into the Tonight Show to see a taping. Yeah. The only thing I could get into was a rehearsal of the monologue. Right. And he came like bouncing out, and I was like, gosh, he kind of reminds me of Josh Radnor. Just their easygoing, nice guy vibe. Yeah. Like, oh, I didn't realize that before.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Yeah,
and you're good friends with both of them.
Isn't that weird? It's really weird.
You just gravitate to guys like that.
That's the type of man I'm attracted to. That's really what it is. That's one way to put it. My wife loves that I'm attracted to Jimmy and Josh both. But there's something there, and I think you're right. I think what I see, beside the exterior that it kind of look like, is that they're both just very creative, like endlessly creative, almost I would say compulsively or obsessively creative. Like, that takes on a pejorative spin, right? But I just mean like always wanting to invent new characters and talk in a voice.
Yeah.
Josh and I do our clanging thing, which is just.
Which I also want to talk about. Yeah.
Keep breaking off here different topics.
Oh no, that's great. We could.
Maybe let's hit this so that he can be free to.
Exactly. Let's talk about the. Late night, how you get there. So you're.
Oh my God! Yeah. So I'm in the thing, and he says, "Well, should I say hi to Jimmy for you?" Giving me, as I tell it to myself, looking back, giving me my last opportunity to say, we weren't really that good of friends, so don't mention me. He may or may not have been doing that, but I always tell it that way. So that he's good. But I say, yeah, of course, say hi to him, right? But I had just finished therapy, and I had been out of show business. For on a self-imposed thing. I just needed to go do something, find something. Where I'd been life coaching for 7 years. Yeah. So at the end of that is where we find me at the Veterans Hospital, sitting in the cafeteria, eating my lunch, having this text exchange. And I put the phone down, and it was almost like a voice. I don't hear voices, but it was almost like, it was such a strong intuitive thought though that you could almost call it a voice. It said, ask him if you can go with him. And I said, hey, can I just go with you and be part of your entourage? And he said, sure. Come down to the hotel, go down to the hotel where you're staying. Black car picks us up, whisks us up to, 30 Rock. We go upstairs together, sit in the dressing room. Josh and I are talking, doing a little bit, just clanging probably back and forth, that verbal word game you're going to hear so much about later. And then Jimmy comes in. And there was, I guess, a small part of me that was like, well, I hope he's happy to see me,
Yeah.
He came in, before I tell you how he came in, I have to tell you one other thing.
And then Adam can reenact it.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Yeah. There's a story I want Adam to reenact. Yes, this will be good. Back in 1998, now you gotta understand, the story I'm about to tell you about Jimmy coming in the door is 2011. In 98, I was finishing up some spiritual work with a spiritual teacher of mine. And I was in a part of town I wasn't usually, because I went to go see this person in Midtown, 50th Street. And I was finishing that work, I was really clean spiritually. So walking down the street in a different direction than I ever went, walking down the street. Jimmy and I were friends until '96. When he went to Los Angeles, I came for grad school. So we hadn't seen each other in like a couple of years. Walking down the street, guy goes, Dion. It's Jimmy. He's got a guitar on his back. He's by himself. He has makeup on his face. He has just come from his SNL audition.
Oh, wow.
I'm the first human being that he runs into. I've never seen him before in New York City in my life. And he's always telling us back on the set of that show in Albany, I'm going to Saturday Night Live, I'm going to Saturday Night Live. That's my goal, that's my ambition. They did reports on us and interviewed him. That's what he would say, focused. So we talked, he took a picture of us. So here's the details you're gonna need for us to recreate. I wanna recreate this moment. Jimmy, he said, he's glad to see me, I was glad to see him, and he showed me this, he had a book with him called 7 Spiritual Laws of Success with Deepak Chopra, and I took that, took that information away and since delved into it myself. And he took a photo of both of us, and then he said, let's stay in touch. And then we talked later that summer, and he got it. And he told me, and we talked for like an hour, we were just goofing around, talking and everything. And he said, we're gonna stay in touch, blah, blah, blah. But he came to the city, he reached out once after that for us to have a drink or something, and we just fell out of touch. And he went through the roof in terms of his fame, and I disappeared in obscurity, in poverty, and insanity. No one laughed at that. So maybe everybody thinks I'm obscure, insane, and poor. That's okay. That's okay. So let's do this. Ready? So we're on the street. We'll just do it. Okay. So I'm walking down the street. So now Adam.
No, I was walking down the street too. No, it was fantastic. I remember this. I was wearing makeup, and I just had an audition for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, you remember that?
Oh yeah, it was great.
And you called out to me.
No, I was like, Dion.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and you were surprised to see me.
I was so happy. I didn't even recognize you at first.
Yeah, because I was wearing the makeup and everything. This is like.
I just didn't expect to see you.
Yeah, because you never seen me in New York before.
That's right.
New York City, big apple. This is great. Oh, it was great. So I was like, I was walking.
It was great, man. It was great, and like you took a picture of us, and I was.
I'm sure I was telling you about the book.
Yeah. Well, the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Like Deepak Chopra, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's helped me so much.
I love Deepak. He's so great.
It is
great. I gotta get him on the show.
I love it.
It's so good.
I know.
Yeah.
It's great. And then you went on. But here's what. I went on my way. Actually, here's the little thing I'm just remembering now. You were staying at the Sheraton, and I remember trying to
climb up to the roof,
impose myself on you a little bit more, and you were like, no, I'm good, I'm going back to my hotel. And I was not at a place, you Steve Harvey'd me. Yeah, you Steve Harvey'd me, but now I understand it. You do something like that, you want to just go chill.
Yeah, I just need to decompress. Well, you want the good things to happen to you at the moment. So I just like want to get on a road, I just want to focus, because I want to get on that set. I want to be on Saturday Night Live. I don't want anything to interfere with what the goal is.
Exactly.
Not that like I wasn't happy to see it.
No, you totally were. And you took my number and everything. And you made sure, and then you called me. And you took the picture, right? And I've always wanted to see that picture anyway. So I never bring it up. Nowadays.
I don't know. This is one of my cell phones at my parents' house. I don't know, maybe I gotta take it out. I never returned it, but a lot of people.
You know what it was on? It was on a camera. Do you remember?
Yeah.
This was pre-cell phone.
Oh yeah,
it was on a camera, right? So it was very notably not a cell phone.
Disposable. It was like disposable. I think it was an underwater one. I don't know. I just really Sheridan had like a rooftop pool. I don't know. Maybe. I was just curious.
Me too, man. And it was wild at the end of the summer when we talked and you got us to know. You were so happy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was honored. That you shared that with me.
Oh yeah, because we had the reason was because we just met. And you're one of the first people I saw.
Yeah, I know.
What a wild experience.
And you used in your audition, you used Dieter Gut Boots.
Yeah.
Which is the name. I made that name up.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh man.
So when we talked about it for like an hour, it was great. Look.
This is so great. No, this is psychodrama beyond. Like, this is helping me actually to process some of this. No, it's great.
So was that was this the reenactment? Was this the 2011?
No, this is a deeper. Okay, so just to put a pause. Excellent job. Unbelievable job. Great job. No, this started to get really psychodramatic for me just now because I felt like I was talking to Jimmy, and while I have had since then the opportunity to tell him at great length how grateful I am and how much his friendship over the years has meant to me. No, I was going to say this explored it in a different way, and it did, because I don't ever bring up the ins and outs of that conversation, like what I was thinking in terms of, like, I've never confessed that I had actually wanted to hang out more that day, and he was like, no, I'm good, which I totally get now. Like I said, it's interesting. And there's only one last thing I'd like to work out in psychodrama right now, which is because you know what, all that's eradicated. I think as you, Jimmy, as you got more, can I say this to you now?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to say?
As you got more and more famous, I backed away with a very polite, respectful thing, because
that's the thing about Dion. I mean, he's a really nice guy. He's great.
I appreciate
He's fantastic. Very respectful. You don't want to overstep your bounds.
No, I don't. Even though I've made a couple of mistakes, I don't know if I ever got back to you on the show. But I learned very quickly, because you're hanging out backstage and you see your heroes. Backstage with Bill Cosby before his, his life fell apart.
Before he knew everything.
Tom Hanks, I got to talk to him about something I always wanted to talk to him about. And you see all these people, and at first I would encroach, because I just didn't understand. I'd been on television shows before too, but not where big celebrities were coming in. They were celebrities. But anyway, I'll leave that now. I'm just going to leave that for now, because you don't want to kill that. That was good.
So you're saying there were a couple of moments when you maybe spoke to Tom Hanks while you're at late night?
Yep.
And
I went right to his dressing room, and I always wanted to tell him that I was really stoned at a party in undergrad one time. And it was the day I realized what a sensational actor he is, and it's what I use if I'm ever teaching acting or leading workshops, which I do. I sometimes use that as an example. And what the example was of how great an actor he was that there was a black and white TV off to the side at my friend Paul Rapp's apartment, and Bosom Buddies was playing. And everybody was stoned. And not on Bosom Buddies, but at the party. And I caught myself just sort of looking at the show, while music is going and everything. And Peter Scolari and everybody else is on the show, but they're just kind of like, you can't really understand what's happening, but I can understand every word Tom Hanks was saying mysteriously. Everything. It was like I was reading, I'm not a lip reader.
Right.
And what I got was that he's so organized, in terms of acting process, he's so aligned. Hamlet says, suit the action to the words and the words to the action. And he means, if you're an actor, be on point with what you're saying and make sure it lines up with how you're conveying it. And he did that so exceptionally that I could read his lips, and I'm not a lip reader. So I always knew I'd meet him, and I was just waiting, and there he was. So I walked over and I said, hey, hi, great, funny bit you're doing, because I saw him during rehearsal. And I said, I've always wanted to tell you this. I told him the story I just told you guys. And what he said to me was not at all what I expected. And it taught me a lot about waiting 20 years to tell somebody a story. He said, which episode was it? And my eyes widened, and I felt my throat clicking, and my eyeballs were clicking dry. And I was like, I don't know. And what I realized was I'd always had a fantasy of vomiting this story onto him, and he was just ready to have a regular conversation. And I just wanted to dump it, and I never thought through what would come next. And that's when I started to realize how difficult it must be to be famous. And then I got my own brand of fame. I'm not famous, but Barack Obama is. Right. And when I put on his character and his suit, and I do appearances, which I've done all over the world at this point, you get treated like that symbol. And it's been the most interesting, voyeuristic kind of appreciation for what it is to walk into a room, have everybody know who you are, and I haven't had to, I haven't had to give up my own anonymity, you know what I mean? Because nobody knows me. I mean, a couple people know me or whatever, but they definitely know Obama on The Tonight Show. Right. And that has created great opportunities, Anyway, am I saying things that are wanting to hear? No, I'm just fucking going off, man. Well, you caught me right after performance, so I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. That's why I appreciate you doing this, because I know I need to decompress after a show. But
right, like we said, Jimmy needed to do that
Right.
day. And I said, I understand that now, and here I am contradicting that by talking very effusively right after a performance.
So when you saw him in 2011, was that when he was like, hey, why don't you do some stuff on the show?
He comes backstage, yes. He came backstage, he comes back in, he comes in the room, and he grabbed me up. Dion, where have you been? He's turning to his people and saying, this is one of the funniest guys I know. And he was genuinely interested and I don't know how concerned ultimately, but at least wondering, where have you been? And he grabbed me up and hugged me like 3 times, and I was like really boosted up by his energy.
Yeah.
That's one of his huge gifts, is that he is, for better or for worse, and I say that because sometimes I just worry about his own personal generosity when it comes to energy. I don't know, he sources it from somewhere, but he gets this energy to give and to boost and to.
That's what I noticed when I saw him at the rehearsal.
Yeah.
It was the only time I'd seen him live.
Yeah.
Just like in person. And he immediately, all he said was just coming up saying like, hey guys. It was immediately like, oh gosh, he really is what I've always heard about like just how much he exudes just this warmth.
He does, and he's so good at it, and it affects you. And as a performer, Johnny Carson was always credited with knowing exactly how to bring the guest forward and make them look good.
Right.
And I think Jimmy is sometimes, his detractors say that he just laughs too much, he laughs all the time.
He makes them look really good.
But that's his main goal, is like just to boost them up. And I can tell you firsthand, when I was in his room and he was just a fan, we watched the O.J. Simpson run together. That's where I was when O.J. Simpson was doing. I was on the couch with Jimmy Fallon at Frank Gentile's house.
Wow.
So that, just to date it and put it all like into perspective, I can tell you firsthand, when we were in the woods making recordings way back before, when he held a vision that he knew he would be famous or successful in comedy, but he wasn't yet. But he charmed everyone that was around. He always had that effect on people on the set. And he's just a star.
Yeah.
That's it. When you're around a star, you just know it.
Yeah.
That's it. So his detractors would say, well, he laughs too much, and I can't stand, you see these compilations, I see them, of him like laughing but if you look at it from the right point of view, if you don't just go, well, that's just a celebrity, so we'll take a shot at him like he's not a real person.
Right.
But if you take a compassionate view, which is, what is he actually doing? Energetically, he's trying to make the thing a success.
Right.
It's all
That's
coming
all
from
what he's
that.
doing, yeah.
And does that have a weird? Can you take a snapshot of some of that and make it look weird in a compilation? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, people don't realize how much, like, when he was on SNL, Will Ferrell would be messing with him under the water in the hot tub, and Horatio Sands would be changing lines to make him laugh and stuff like that.
Right.
There was a bit you did on Late Night. Now, this is one of those. This is like you wanting to talk to Tom Hanks about an episode of Boots and Buddies, but there were a couple of bits you did on there where you were a magician.
The Great Benito.
Right. was a great, hilarious bit. It seemed like you would catch him off guard at the end sometimes, catch Jimmy off guard with like, I was always wondering, and this is my question, were you ad-libbing those last bits sometimes?
I'm so glad you brought this up. The short answer is yes, 100%. And it goes back to the idea of writing. You asked me if I wrote in those early days or at all on the show. I don't, I'm not a writer, nothing. But I would definitely add these things that they didn't expect, and I didn't say them in rehearsal either.
Okay.
And that goes back to permission to do that, goes back to that old rapport with Jimmy.
Right.
It gave me confidence to try it. Because you're away from a guy who has since become a star, and then you come back to his show.
Right.
It's a very interesting journey.
I bet.
And then you watch, and hopefully I've been accurate and respectful about honoring how much of that you can do. 70 appearanrances later, I mean, I think that it's going okay.
Yeah,
right? They haven't cut me off yet. And so I would add things like that the Great Benito had always eaten something.
You need to go to the bathroom.
You need to go to the bathroom, right? And in some weird way.
That sticks in my head.
Right. But right. Basic, just locker room, potty humor, but said in this
totally different voice. You would
right.
change.
He's very much nasal. With the great Benito. I don't know, something like that. Sort of like very elevated sort of language. This kind of person. Sort of that actor speak, and but he's also a mentalist. And the way I played it was, even though the gag was that the trick always went wrong, always poorly. Like I would tell Jimmy to pick a number between 1 and 3, and I would guess what the number is. So he's doing these ridiculously stupid bits, but I always played it like he 100% believes in it. And that he actually thinks that he's getting answers from the stars. So hence you have this looking up and all this stuff. But,
Then you would switch, hey, where's the bathroom?
Right, where's the bathroom? Where can a guy get a drink around here? Where can I get some Weetabix? And I would say it's just like a funny word, too.
Right.
So it would be, and then always,
You'd always see him, look off camera to, Higgins or somebody.
Right, and then Higgins will sometimes echo whatever the word of Weetabix. And sometimes those got cut. Sometimes we shot ones that totally got cut because they went too long. But I want to tell you a quick story about Johnny Miles Biter. We had our son. My wife and I had my son Miles, and his name was Johnny something Biter. But they changed it. Jimmy had it changed to Miles Biter because it was the week my son was born. I had been in the hospital all week. Son being born, we were holed up, isolated. We were there for 6 days. There was some complications, whatever. But so we're there, and I was in this very womb-like environment, if you will, in the hospital. And then I get called for a bit, and then so it's at the end of this, and so I go out to do it. It's our first day or two home. And I was in a totally different mindset. I was a father now, and I played this guy very relaxed and laid back, and that was right for the characters. He was a traveler, and he had these songs, and every song always ended up in a Smash Mouth hit. But he was saying he wrote it. He was like, the stranger picked me up in a beat up pickup truck. Turn the radio on, stereo played the song, and it went, don't be late, and now the time is running out. Right, so it was always, his songs were a way into a Smash Mouth song. And you can't do it, Jimmy always stops it, and blah, blah, blah. But we improvised, went 14 minutes.
Oh, dang.
They ended up airing 7 minutes of it. The bit should have been 3 minutes, but we were improvising, fighting, going back. And I said at one point, I said, yeah, being a rock star, it's great, it's mysterious, it's like that. Songwriting is about as mysterious as that moon shape on your fingernail there. And that was I was in such a relaxed state that I was in the character. And it made air, So things like that, like if I make them up and they're right, they'll keep it. But if I make something up and it's too much or whatever, sometimes I'll get my own bits cut by going too long or it not being funny.
Speaking of your own stuff, you and Josh Radnor created Clanging together.
That's right.
Can you explain what clanging is? I could try, but I would screw it up.
No, I feel like it's very hard to explain. Somebody said, it's like telephone on acid. We did a Los Angeles show, and somebody tried to explain it.
But it's like a word association,
yes.
But it's phrases, not a word. And it's deeper than just...
It's a volley. On the surface, it's a volley back and forth of verbal, of words.
Okay.
And sounds and phrases. And then it becomes the words morph and change, but then it becomes also a volley of acting intentionality. Like somebody being very harsh with someone. So the line will take an acting spin, and then the other line will come back. And very hard to explain, but we do these live stage shows, which are huge successes.
That's great.
People love it. We got fans, people do it, and they're like, we're clanging with my friend, and we do it on the phone. But it all started in grad school when we were backstage, doing a play or whatever, like a restoration bit. Somebody had a glove, I had a glove. He always says it's a dainty woman's glove that I had. I thought it was a big O.J. Simpson double homicide glove. That's what I always remember it as, but we dispute the origin story. But then I said, say a word or something. I challenge you to a duel. That's what it was. I challenge you to a duel. Pop. Smack him in the face. And then he took the glove and said, I challenge you to a duo.
Right.
And then I challenge you to a trio. And the idea is that smack would snap you out of any pre-planning. So this was before I found improv, but I needed improv at that point. I loved it and I lived it. Don't think about it. Like, just don't think about it. Just be right here and see what happens. And back and forth, back and forth. And before you know it, you are saying lines where you are the salesman, you are the manager at a Staples. This is one that we recorded when we were visiting each other a while back. The manager at a Staples was saying, give me that lighter, give me that vodka, and set me on fire. You know, it doesn't make any sense right now, I know, but if you listen to it, you're in hysterics. It's a very hysterical, strange. I've seen religious Christian things where people are all falling back and the Holy Spirit people will go like that,
right,
and the whole crowd will fall back and stuff, you know, and like
Benny Hinn
and this other guy Ken somebody, and I think there's something about that too clanging. It has that kind of an impact. The audience is like hysterical in a weird way.
I saw that several years ago, just something on Twitter, he said something about doing a show with you, and I was like, they know each other?
Yeah. Yeah.
When are you doing another show?
He's moving here. He just got the show Rise, which is about this very popular television. It's a television show about a very popular Pennsylvanian drama teacher who like turned some kids' lives around, etc. And so it got picked up. So he's moving here to shoot those.
Awesome.
Like today, he's actually arriving tonight at 10.
Okay.
Yeah, if he had arrived earlier, we would have had him for this show. But alas, he's not here.
Well, I'd love to see a clanging show. So
yeah, okay, good. So I'll let you know when that's coming up. Because we're gonna. That's the whole plan. Is we're gonna do one here. We do them at the Pit, right in that same space.
Awesome, great. So I feel like I'm sure there's tons more that we could talk about, but we don't have the time.
We don't. And let me finish up with this. I just want to say this, that, you know, what all this, thank you first of all for taking an interest. I want to say that I'm interested in, if there's a message to pass on or anything I'm promoting, you know, for myself, it's that I do go into Fortune 500 companies and work with them and their people on being spontaneous.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I do that, and I bring my little, you know, my little version of how to do that, and why to do that, and then we do it. And I do it also with recovering people, you know, people that are alumni of certain facilities and programs around the country, and they come back for like an alumni thing, and then I show them the joys of improv, because improv for recovering people is really, really good. A lot of the basic things that a lot of recovering people lack in terms of the ability to just be simply intimate are taken care of in improv. And you can quickly teach it and then get going and having them have fun. And a lot of recovering people don't know how to play. They don't know how to play. Right. The drugs are gone, the alcohol's gone, they just think it's let's just grab something and just, you know, bear it out until it all passes, until life is over. But it's not that. So that's what I believe in, that's what I'm passionate about these days, in addition to acting and performing.
That's amazing. I like that. Is there something we could do at the end, just as a creation thing?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm totally.
Can you teach me the clang, or is that
clanging?
Yeah. Can you teach me how to?
I could, if you know, I'll coach it. We can. Why don't we do the three of us?
Yeah.
You know.
That'd be great.
So what it is I'll send something around, you know, whatever, and then you'll just take it and you'll change it a little, and you'll send it to him. And then,
do we need gloves?
You don't.
Okay.
You don't. You're not going to hit each other, because now it's involved, right? Right. I left it that it was with gloves, but we don't do the glove stuff anymore. Okay. Josh always says in the show, at one point we dropped the glove, which he always says, which sounds strangely sexual. But we dropped the glove, and I will stop it just to make adjustments.
Okay.
Okay. So,
yeah, that's the first time I'm doing.
So we usually start with a word like, you know, wither.
Doctor.
Lawyer.
Good. Let me pause there.
Okay.
Good. Excellent. No. Now, right. So the sense is like, if we're stopping, then something has failed. No, I said I would stop. So don't change it much at all.
Okay.
Right. Keep it really close.
Okay.
It'll change on its own, but make it language. Don't let it devolve into gibberish.
Okay.
So whatever the word is, and sometimes the same word will come out, and that's fine too.
Okay.
Okay. So you start with a word. Just give it to me.
Okay. Sting.
Stings.
Bringers.
Bringers.
Bringers bingo.
bringers of Fingal.
Bring us your finger.
Bring us your fingers now.
Bring us your fingers now.
Bring us your fingers now. Bring us your fingers now.
Bring us your fingers now.
Ooh, bring us your fingers now. Bring us your fingers now.
Bring us your fingers now.
You bring us a couple of your fingers, would you? Now. We want your fingers.
No, you want your fingers.
No, I don't think you understand. We don't want your signature. We want your fingers. Okay. No, correct. We want signatures. Maybe bring some fingers too.
No, we need what they say, the John Hancock, but we need the digits too.
Yeah, we want your John Hancock, but we also want to put our hand and cut your cock. Wait, I think, John, we want John's cock.
Nah, this is, you need John's cock.
We need the John's Coca-Cola. We need the John's Coca-Cola. John's Coca-Cola. We want it. Bring it, please bring it.
Please, bring John's Coca-Cola.
Listen. Come on. Could you just please bring John's Coca-Cola? Bring it over here. It's mine.
Okay, we're gonna bring John's Coca-Cola, whatever else he needs, maybe some M&Ms.
Well, you gotta bring John's Coca-Cola, you need some M&Ms, and make sure they're only green M&Ms.
Now, listen, yes, I used to be the President of the United States, but now I'm doing, production assistant work. Don't look at me like that. I need John's Coke, and I need his M&Ms.
The president wants John's Coca-Cola, some M&Ms. I really can't think of the other thing. No, he's gonna fire me.
He's gonna fire me. I don't want to be fired, and I just need you to just be cool. And I just tell him I brought you the Coke and the M&Ms, okay?
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fire me? Are you gonna fire me over a Coke and some M&Ms?
Listen, I'm not gonna fire anybody. Okay, just bring whatever he wants. Even if you don't know what he wants, just bring something. I don't know, whatever you can find in the kitchen.
He just wants to eat. Don't worry, he just wants to eat something.
Look, man, don't make this more complicated, okay? He's a huge star. Just bring something from the kitchen, okay? Please, now go.
Whatever you can find, just bring. Like something from the kitchen, maybe the oven. I don't know. Whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Look, whatever you want.
Whatever that comes to mind.
Whatever that comes to mind.
Whatever they say, don't come to mind.
Okay, don't do anything. Just stay right here.
Just stay right here.
Just stay right here.
Don't move a muscle. Okay?
Don't move a muscle, okay?
Don't move your muscles, okay?
Okay. Just be a paraplegic.
Be a paralegal.
Be a paratrooper.
Be a parent.
Be a pair of ants.
Could you just be a pair of ants? Could you just be 2 ants? That's what I'd like.
Okay, there's 2 ants. I want you to be one of them. Choose. Whatever.
You can be whichever ant you want to be.
You can be, how about this? You pick which ant you'd like to portray.
This is huge. You're gonna take the role of ant.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. You're going to take the role of the aunt.
Listen, Johnny, it's a big day for you, okay? I saw what you did in rehearsal. I want you to take the part of the aunt.
Wow. Take the week off. Because you can't top this. They want you to play the ant. It's going to be huge.
This is going to be huge. I got the ant.
Listen, I know this is gonna be huge. I got the N. The letter N.
Got the letter N. We got the letter N.
I've got the letter N.
I like to play Scrabble a little superior. I've got the letter N.
Yeah, listen. Here's an N. It's so cute.
Oh, listen, it's so cute.
Oh, listen when you shake it. I think there's something alive in there. It's so cute.
Oh, look at this. I kiss everything.
I kiss everything.
Oh, listen, I could sing anything. I could sing anything.
She can sing it. I can sing anything. This little thing can sing anything. You just break it apart. And two things can sing things.
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 Two sing a ding ding.
Cooka tinga winga wing.
Two a kooka pooka.
Oh, kissy posy cushy poo.
Pushy papa doopy doo.
Who's your papa doopa doopy?
Who's your papa doopy doo?
Who's your papa? You want a poo poo?
That was good, no, but I was nodding and getting excited because it let go finally, and it was like, okay, it's not gibberish, it's definitely not the goal, but I could see the release where we were really just letting it. That was good, it was fun and funny.
Thanks. Well, great. I hope you enjoyed that chat. I sure did. I always enjoy the chat. That one, very interesting and had a lot of fun stuff in there. I hope you learned some things from it. I think we just touched on a lot of interesting things there. And I, of course, loving Jimmy Fallon, love the Jimmy Fallon portion of that. And also the Josh Radnor part, because I really like Josh Radnor. I want to get him on this podcast as well. And I was very happy to get to do the clanging at the end. That was fun. Well, if you want to find out more about Dion Flynn, you can. You can go to dionflynn.com. That's FLYNN. And you can also see him perform every Saturday, except for this Saturday, at the Pit at 6 o'clock. And he does his show there called Dion Flynn Works Well with Others. This Thursday at the Pit, you can see the Jimmy Fallon homage show, the Tonight Show parody show that Adam Hamway does. It is this Thursday at 7 o'clock. We have a fun episode next week. Until next time, be good to each other.
The music for the theme song was created by Neil Brooks. The rap was written and performed by Nick Acevedo. The logo for There It Is was created by Jeff Prater. The There It Is podcast is produced by Jason Farr.